What's up, Buttercups? My name is RedPanda Shenanigans, and welcome to Buried. Buried is an interactive story. The plot will change based on the choices you make. The story is broken into 5 chapters. Play straight through or at your own pace. There's no waiting and no pauses. Enjoy and choose wisely. Now, before we begin, I know a tiny little bit about this story. There's 5 chapters. It's a horror game, as you can, or like a horror story, as you can kind of tell, and I've never done something like that before, but I'm really excited to do this. Now, I hope that I'll be able to, as again, I have the free version of Bandicam, and it only lets me record 10 minutes at a time, and I hope I don't miss anything important. But if I do, I apologize, but just keep that in mind right now. Now, the story is based around a male, but for story purposes, I'm going to be reading it as female. So hopefully I don't ruin the mood with my voice, but this is kind of squeaky right now. Excuse me. Turn down the lights, get some popcorn, and let's start this adventure. Turn up the volume as well, because storybooks are mainly based around words and sound. I open my eyes and the first thing I want to do is scream. I'm flat on my back and everything seems to hurt. The trees overhead look familiar. It's a clear night sky, almost beautiful, except for the fact that this means I've been out cold for at least 6 hours. But there's something wrong. I don't remember what, but something happened in my head. My head hurts, and a ringing in my ears. Was there an accident? An explosion, I think. I remember Dennis screaming, but after that, I can't remember. As I sit up, I notice that my hard hat has been thrown off. I look around the area, but it's not here. It feels strange to go anywhere without my hard hat, but I've got to find the other members of my crew. They could be in danger. Now, like I said, I've seen the whole first chapter, but not all the choices, and I'm going to be choosing my own choices, which are not the same as the ones I've seen. So, in my logic, in planes they say to help yourself by putting the oxygen mask on before you help others. So, I think it's going to be the same situation. I'm going to get my hard hat just in case, so I'm not in danger, or as much danger, and I can go help the others. I get up on shaky legs and look around for a moment. A few nearby trees look to have been splintered and broken to the base recently. They certainly weren't like this earlier. Searching for the hard hat feels normal. It makes me feel like maybe there isn't something wrong here. I see it behind a fallen log about 10 feet away from me. How it was thrown so far is beyond me. Driven by nothing more than habit, I walk over to it, pick it up, and place it on my head. Next, I walk over to the center of the logging site and don't like what I see. Continue. The logging site looks like a bomb was detonated right in the center. I don't know where to start. The one load we had managed to stack on a truck for the day is overturned, the trailer bent, and the logs hanging off the back. Where is everyone? My head is killing me, and this ringing in my ears. I can't hear anything, not birds, not my footsteps, nothing. It makes me wonder if I hit my head after my hard hat flew off. I run through a quick mental checklist to make sure my brain is still working. My name is Rebecca Hastings. I'm 41 years old. The year is 2017. I own a small logging company, and we've been logging in this strip of Kentucky woodland for almost a month now. Okay, so my brain works. That's a relief. But it also makes me fearful, because something is certainly not right here. I look around the logging site, my mind trying to figure out what has happened. Just about every piece of equipment has been overturned or tilted. Let's see. Let's look at the debris. There might be something in there. There are bits of debris everywhere. There are fragments of the 5-gallon bucket I keep our work rags in, a loose saw chain, a loose saw chain, and an overturned gas canister. Had there been an explosion, all of the fuel on site would have started a fire, but there's no charring, no burning, nothing. I walked through the area where Dennis had been working. From the looks of it, he'd been moving slowly. He'd only taken down 4 trees today. His metal lunchbox is open, an indicator that he had been taking an early lunch break. But he's not here. No one's here. Where is everyone? I could try to make a call on my cell phone, but its battery is already running really low. Not that it matters. The reception is horrible out here. I think I'm not gonna call anyone, 'cause it might not work and you might need the phone for later. So I'm gonna yell out. Hey, guys! Where is everyone? Tony, Dennis, Frank, Joe? But their names fall flat among the wreckage. I get nothing back other than scaring a few birds overhead. Might as well start walking and try to find some answers. The highway is almost a mile back through the woods, down the gravel road we used to reach the site. Maybe the crew ran that way for help. But why would they have left me? Were they scared, out of sorts? Maybe I can catch up to them, but with my truck turned over on its side, it looks like I'll be walking. I can't even remember what I was doing before waking up on my back. Wait, what's that underneath the bulldozer? It's a leg. It has to be either Tony or Dennis. The dozer looks unstable, like it might roll some more. Might not be safe to get close, but at the same time, I can't just leave him there. I don't want to leave someone if they're possibly alive, so I might as well look. Hey! I yell. Are you okay? Are you alive? Holding onto my hat, I skip over the wrecked equipment and stray logs to get closer. I can see a bit more of the leg. The jeans are soaked in blood. I recognize the work boots. It's clearly Tony. His leg is bent at an impossible angle, nearly crushed flat. The closer I get, the more apparent it becomes that Tony didn't survive. Well, like he said, it's unstable, and pulling the body out might be bad, so I think I'm gonna have to leave the body alone. There's nothing I can do for him now. I start to back away slowly. In my shock, I stumble back, suddenly tripping over one of the stray logs. My head collides with one of the logs as I bite the ground, but my hard hat does its job. Thank goodness I decided to look for it earlier. But what's more startling is realizing that Tony is dead. Looking at him, I feel something rising up in my throat, and I don't know if it's scream or vomit, but I'll have to push it away. If I lose my cool right now, there are too many questions that will go unanswered. I can't believe this. Tony, he had 2 boys. He coached his oldest son's baseball team. He was the hardest worker I had, and was one of the most honest and reliable men I knew. This isn't right. I can't stay here. I have to find Dennis, Frank, and Joe. I have to find out what happened here. Continue. As I walk through the stacks of logs from last week or so of work, everything feels frozen. This high-pitched sound in my ears, it's terrible. It keeps happening every few seconds and sounds like it's coming from far away. I can't help but wonder, is it my ears, or is it something else? The silence out here is creepy, and there's a smell, like the atmosphere after a bad summer storm. I might as well admit it, I'm a little scared. Everyone is missing and it's dead quiet out here. There doesn't even seem to be a breeze to rustle the leaves and branches. My right knee hurts. My head was hurting so bad before that I never even noticed the pain in my knee. I must have heard it during the what? Accident? Or, wait, is that Dennis? I see him sitting on the ground, motionless, about 30 feet away. I don't want to walk up if he's like, I don't know, a monster or something. I don't know. Dennis, I yell. Dennis, can you hear me? Dennis lets out a shout like someone waking up from a nightmare. He then looks back at me from the ground. Yeah, Rebecca, I hear you, he hollers back as I head over to him. Dennis is built like a wrestler and has the tough personality to match, but in this moment he looks disoriented and even a little anxious, though I'm glad to see him. The fear on his unusually confident face is alarming. What happened? What's going on? He asks. I honestly don't know. Missing, Dennis says. Where do you think they went? I'm not sure, I say, but it has me pretty freaked out. Something's not right here. Still sitting on the ground, he looks around the woods, as if he's just now understanding the severity of the situation. The equipment was overturned, the dozers too, I say, shifting my hard hat and wiping my forehead. You okay? I ask him. Yeah, just shaken up. Me too. This might be the most intimate conversation Dennis and I have ever had. While he and I had always been on good terms, we've never been particularly close. I've always respected him, though. Sure, he's come to work a few times looking like he'd been in a bar fight the night before, but I've also seen him do an enthusiastic impression of a dinosaur as he played with Tony's kids while they waited for their dad to finish up his shift. It's then that it hits me. Dennis and Tony were good friends. I'm not sure I want to rattle him with news of Tony's death right now, not before we know what's going on, but he has a right to know. Honesty is pretty much always the best policy. That didn't sound good. Dennis' eyes fixate on me, startled. He was crushed under the dozer, I say. Dennis pauses for a moment like he's trying to understand what I said. His eyes narrow and his bottom lip quivers. Shoot, he says, and I can tell that he's fighting back tears. He and Tony had been tight, almost like brothers. Hey, he adds quickly, as if trying to escape the reality of Tony's death. Did you see that light? No, I say. What did you see? I don't even know, Rebecca, he says. It was like this flare of white light. It came right up out of the ground like an explosion. So there was an explosion, I say. Maybe it was some equipment or... This was no equipment, Dennis interrupts, agitated. This huge ball of light came right out of the dang ground. Well, you said it looked like a huge ball of light. So where did it go? It just shot up into the sky until it was out of sight. When? I'm not sure, he answers, but I had finished about 10 trees for the day and was about to top one. That's when it happened. You're almost done with 10 trees? I ask. Yeah, he says, looking around at the ground. You know, I wouldn't want to take a lunch break until I was done. And that's when that light blew up. Why? You don't believe me? Oh, I believe him. I mean, why not? I don't like that sound. He saw what he saw, I think to myself. He has no reason to lie about this. My gosh, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, he says. But if I'm being honest, it scared me pretty bad. And if it's all the same to you, I'd like to get the heck out of here. We both stand up and start heading towards the road. It isn't until we start moving that I see Dennis is wounded. His right side is coated in blood, the red seeping through his blue work shirt. There are splatters of it here and there, but also a very large red splotch that makes me worry. Ooh, how'd you get it? It's curious. I'm not sure, Dennis replies. I must have gotten thrown or hurt somehow from that light. It's then that I notice the strange ringing noise is still filling the air. Hey, I say, stopping. Do you hear that high-pitched ringing noise every once in a while? Dennis looks scared when I ask him this question and just nods. I thought it was just me, he says. He looks out of sorts and uncertain. I've never seen him like this before. It's obvious that he's looking for some reassurance. Even though I'm his boss, there's something very unnerving about this. It's alright, we'll be okay. Let's be realistic, I tell myself. I might as well try to be empathetic. Out here in the middle of these woods, the ringing could be anything. Maybe a car alarm from the woods or something. Still, even my passive comment seems to have reassured Dennis. He looks a bit calmer, more relaxed. We both start moving forward and don't say another word. Did you try to call Frank? Dennis asks. I know he had a cell on him today. Not yet. Luckily, I still have some battery left. I pull out my cell and call Frank, happy that I didn't make that call to Dennis earlier. It rings, but he doesn't pick up. But then I hear his phone go off behind the stack of logs. Dennis and I give each other a look. As the phone goes to voicemail, I hang up, and we walk behind the logs to find Frank's phone on the ground, abandoned. We look around for Frank, but find nothing. Not a single trace. It's then that I notice something really odd. A 10-foot wide hole in the ground right near where the phone was. But there's no stray piles of removed dirt or rocks. It's clean, smoothly dug, cutting into the earth. Wide, but only a few feet deep. It looks unnatural, like the ground was just deleted. No shovels or diggers used. Dennis walks over to it. This looks like the same kind of hole where I saw that light come from the ground, he muses to himself. I say nothing. My mind is spinning, but I don't know what to think. We need to get out of here, Dennis mutters. At that moment, that ringing noise carries through the forest again, sending a shiver down my spine. Dennis is right. There's something strange going on, and we might not be safe here. But that ringing noise could be a clue to where the rest of the crew is. Per Personally, I would leave to go get Dennis help and go get help to come back. Although I doubt that's what's gonna happen, but this is what I do in this situation. I really don't like that noise. With that, we turn and start walking to the west in the direction that I'm pretty certain leads to the road. Continue. It's sort of embarrassing. I've been a logger for nearly 15 years, but I'm finding it easy to get lost in these woods. The trees are so thick in places that the moonlight doesn't even reach the ground. It's easy to get turned around. My only hope is that I can find the overgrown dirt road that will lead us back to the highway. You sure we're headed the right way? Dennis asks. Pretty sure, I say. I turn to him and see that he's clearly in pain. It's at this moment we come upon another one of those smooth holes. This one's even stranger because a nearby tree also has a chunk cut out of it. The arc goes smoothly through the ground and then up through the trunk like cartoon wrecking ball blasts through both of them. What are these things? Dennis whispers to himself. He takes a step down into the hole, his boots creating imperfections in the shape, like footprints on a sand dune. I don't really want to go into the hole. I walk along the edge, each step sending pebbles down into the hole and ruining its perfect shape. I'm amazed at how smooth it is. Even rocks that were under the earth have been sheared to fit the spherical shape. But as I'm noticing this, I notice Dennis's feet start to sag. "Dennis, get out!" I start, but I don't finish. Before he can react, the ground is giving away and he's falling. I try to step back, but the fissure that opens up disintegrates the ground beneath my feet as well. I cry out in surprise and can barely hear Dennis letting out a curse as we go down into the earth. Oh, that was legit unexpected. No bueno. Oh, I really don't like this. The fall isn't a long one, but when I hit something a few seconds later, it hurts like hell. The wind goes rushing out of me when I hit, and a sharp pain flies through me. What the hell? I say once my breath is back. Beside me, Dennis is slowly rolling over to get to his feet. I look up and see the hole in the ground where we fell through. It looks to be about 10 feet over our heads. It's completely dark, but there's a small flicker of light further into the cave ahead of us, and a solid wall of rock behind us. Looks like the only ways out are further down the cave or up through the way we fell in. Dennis might be able to boost me up there, but with his injury, I'm not sure how stable he is. He might drop me. I doubt climbing out will work. And he's very low on energy. So I think we're gonna... This is so a stupid decision, but I'm gonna head into the cave. I decide we'd better not risk hurting ourselves trying to climb out. As we turn to head into the cave, I take a closer look at the light further ahead and realize it's artificial. We both start heading towards it instinctively. As we step into the light, panic gently gnaws at me, because what I'm seeing makes absolutely no sense. It's no longer a cave or a hole. It's a long, sparsely lit corridor. Okay. Don't like this. Nope. It's a massive corridor, in fact. It seems to go on forever. This corridor is mostly dark, with emergency lights every 10 feet or so. I turn to my left and see that there's a door which appears to lead upward into the outside, but it's locked tight. I push as hard as I can, but no luck. "Dennis, help me with this," I say. He comes over and we both try to kick the door open, but it doesn't budge. For some reason, someone doesn't want people getting out of here. Looks like we're headed down the hallway. I'm gonna tiptoe quietly, excuse me? I'm gonna walk quickly. I feel like a ghost, like truly I have no business being here. Dennis leans on me for support. We move slowly, our feet not making a sound. If anyone is in here, I want to make sure they don't hear us. We tiptoe forward as softly as we can. As I carry Dennis to the far end of this otherwise featureless place, I see a flight of concrete stairs leading down. I have to set Dennis down on the floor. His weight is killing me. "Dennis, are you okay?" "Stop worrying, man," he says. "I'll be okay. I just need a minute to rest." But looking at him, I'm not so sure. I can still hear the ringing noise every so often, coming from somewhere in here. I look ahead at the concrete stairs, pointing towards them so that Dennis sees them. "Can you make it down those stairs?" I ask. He stands up slowly and is visibly making an effort not to fall back down. "Yeah," he says, and sounds a little irritated. He starts for the stairs without me, and I have no choice but to follow. We approach the stairs, and just by looking at them, I get the sense that we're crossing some sort of line here. There very well may be no going back. As I head down the stairs, I notice that they look aged. That danged ringing noise is somewhere below here, louder than ever. I feel like I'm walking down into the cellar of a haunted house, the light becoming scarce as the stairs take a slight turn. I can feel the temperature drop. Dennis makes it a few steps down before he's leaning on the wall. He's breathing like he just finished a marathon. Give him a break. "Let's take a break," I say, putting my hands towards his shoulder, ready to help steady him. Dennis lets out a sigh. "Thanks. I don't feel too good, boss." As we both squat down on a stair, my mind seems to lock in on the unknown fate of the rest of my crew. Frank is married, and I've met his wife a few times, a nice woman with a huge laugh. My heart sags a bit when I realize I might never again get to hear him belting out classic rock tunes during lunch break. Joe, well, I don't know too much about him. He's 22 years old and is considering community college. His folks are deadbeats, so he's been providing for himself since the age of 16 or so. Maybe I can still find them, and still get to hear Frank singing in his deep baritone voice after a few too many drinks. After a few moments, Dennis says, "All right, let's keep going." We both stand up, leaning on each other. I have to make Dennis stay behind me as I stick my foot out in search of the next step. I can't help but feeling like a child as a very powerful fear seizes me. I'm expecting a monster to reach out of the darkness, slicing into my throat. After what feels like forever, we come to the bottom of the stairs. We're closer to that ringing noise now. A door sits securely in the wall and looks just out of place down here as I feel a sliver of light seeps through, illuminating the area. The door has what looks like a panel with lots of labels and lights. Small embossed print above the panel says Level 01 Entrance Gate, Transport Sector, and there's a small button with no label. I'm not going to push a random button. The panel looks like a diagnostic or alert system of some kind, each label meant to communicate some status. Lockdown engaged, experiment in progress, shutdown engaged. Those all appear to be off, but one of the phrases has a slowly blinking red light next to it, the only powered light on in this whole thing. Abnormal entity breach. What the heck? I slowly push the door open when Dennis suddenly steps in front of me, taking the lead. "Let's go," he says. "I want to find out what the heck this place is." As Dennis walks through, that ringing or beeping or whatever it is gets a little louder. The door closes behind us with a click. I can't help but notice the wobble in Dennis's step as he lets out a grunt. "You sure you're healthy enough to keep going?" I ask. "It doesn't matter. I don't want to be in the woods right now." He seems scared, something I've never seen before. Angry? Yes. Upset? Yes. But Dennis is never scared. "I don't know what it was, boss. It was like someone had left a radio on, crackling, but we don't have any radios on at the site. I don't know, it was like something in the forest was moving." I give him a doubtful look, and he casts his eyes to the ground, frustrated. "I know how it sounds," he says, "but I know what I felt. It was like walking into a funeral parlor, feeling death and gloom everywhere." I've become so preoccupied with my own fear that I nearly forgot about the ringing noise. It had become just background noise. We take a few more steps, and I can now see where we are. It makes no sense, yet another thing that simply seems out of place. The shapes and muted colors of metal are very easy to identify, but it just doesn't belong here. Well, that's the end of Chapter 1. We're just starting this adventure, and already we're tossed into the deep end. I hope you enjoyed. It was interesting. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Markiplier style. Bye-bye.